Morning! It is an absolutely gorgeous day here in central Illinois, and we're taking a little bit of a trip away from the farm.
Yeah, you guessed it, we're headed to the world's largest outdoor farm show, Farm Progress 2023 in Decatur, Illinois.
The best part about the years where the Farm Progress show is in Decatur is that it's only 40 miles away, meaning it's not going to take me very long to get there and start enjoying all there is to offer and discover at the show. The drive from Mattoon to Decatur takes you through arguably some of the highest quality farmland in the world. A lot of really good looking crops up through this area, and of course starting to mature, so harvest is right around the corner.
Before we get to the show, I want to give a quick disclaimer that today's video is brought to you by our friends at Syngenta. I'm very grateful of Syngenta's continued support of our channel and the content we put out. And of course, among other things, we are going to be looking around Syngenta's booths here to see all of their new products and exciting developments in the industry.
Just walking up to the show from the south. They definitely don't call it the world's largest outdoor farm show for nothing. A lot of exhibitors and a lot of people here. I wonder if I could get the finance committee to approve this right here. J&M 2032 dual auger grain cart, 42-inch stabilizer track, super low maintenance. Only thing I would change is maybe put it in black and put a power tarp on it. That looked good on the 8R370, assuming it had enough power. I mean, look at the size of these tracks. You gotta have a lot of weight dispersion if you're gonna put a lot of bushels on the cart. Here's one of the hottest tractors on the market right here, Fendt 1000 series. This is a 1050, so 517 horsepower. John Deere needs to take note of this Gold Star customer care warranty, 3-year, 3,000 hour full comprehensive warranty, zero deductible, 48-hour loaner guarantee. I mean, that's pretty darn good service right there. The only quorum some people have with Fendt is the color scheme, but it's grown on me quite a bit. We're sitting inside one of the larger horses in their stable now, the 1162. This one's on twin tracks, 618 horsepower, I believe. They have a model that's 670 plus horsepower. Definitely a little bit different than the Deeres we're used to running, but I've heard these Fendts are the next big thing on the tractor market, and supposedly a lot of farmers are starting to switch to them. You can definitely see the European inspirations inside the cab of this. I think I need a full day of instruction from the salesman before I could run this. Equipped with PTO and all, that looked pretty good on that 2,000 bushel J&M cart. I think I found our new combine for next season. If you can get past the color scheme, for these are one heck of a machine. I bet Ron from Hartung Family Farms has been around here somewhere collecting intel for John Deere to see how they can improve the X9. Although the X9 is much bigger than the 7 Series Kloss. They don't even have their big dog here. It'd be the 8 Series. Here is one heck of a tillage tool. Kind of a weatherproofer, ripper, chisel plow, whatever you want to call it. I wonder if that 700 horsepower Fendt could pull this 12 inches deep. You wouldn't have very many stalks left after you ran this following your corn harvest. One thing that I've always noticed about Landal's tillage tools, other than the color blue, is that they're arguably the heaviest built on the market. Look at the design on this, the strength of the tubing. The frame overall is just so robust. It's definitely something you want when you're investing in a long-term tillage tool, because if it's flimsy, you know it's not going to last very long, especially because it seems like the trend in tillage, the trend in tractors is to keep adding more horsepower to pull this stuff. And it won't be long before we're running 700-800 horsepower tractors, and a lightly built tool like a lot of competitors on the market probably will not last very long, or at least give you a lot of issues. John Deere's 2730 disc ripper or mulch ripper, whatever you want to call it, is kind of a similar design. I don't know who really refined it to this first. The coulters on the back, I think, help size residue and maybe reduce some clods before the rolling basket hits it. It'd still be great to see this thing running on some corn stalks. This would pretty much be the opposite of a vertical till. Vertical till is just downsizing corn stalks, minimal disturbance of the top few inches of the soil. This one is literally devastating everything. Flipping the soil up, integrating crop residue, downsizing it, and hopefully aerating the ground a little bit more, maybe resulting in quicker drying in the spring, but two completely separate tools for two different management styles. See, I told you Ron would be over here spying on the Kloss combines.
I already stole all the designs.
Yep, there you go. First it was New Holland, now it's Kloss. John Deere is just not original at all, are they?
Nope. Next is going to be that.
Okay, time to take a peek in at what our friends at Syngenta have to offer.
Just taking a step inside of Syngenta's booth here, they've got everything from digital solutions to crop protection products. Of course, you've got the Acheron GT that we've come to know and love, as well as their seed treatments, Cruiser Max and Saltro, and then their fungicides that we use on our farm. So I'm just gonna walk around and kind of show you guys some of the products that we like to use.
Of course, we've got the tried and true Acheron corn herbicide, something we have had great success with on our farm for over the last decade. They've got a little interactive booth here where you can do a little calculating about what Acheron can do to your bottom line.
With Syngenta, the big pitch is always better yield is the better deal. It's not just about having greener corn and soybeans, less weeds in your fields, but at the end of the day, the real goal is more money in your pocket and a positive return on investment. Products like Acheron can definitely make that happen.
If you go over to findmorebushels.com, you can actually calculate how much money you can save or technically earn by increasing yield from a lack of weed competition and, of course, crop health. It's something you get with Acheron that a lot of competitive products do not have, is phenomenal crop safety. You can see that on our 2,000 acres of corn, at a 5 bushel an acre advantage, you're looking at $48,000 more in your pocket. If we get 15 bushels an acre advantage over a competitive product, that is $146,000. That's a lot of money.
I would safely say that Acheron is one of the strongest corn herbicides on the market. You get the powerful burn down punch with the Callisto and the bicyclopyrone ingredient, as well as some of the longest lasting residual on the market. Definitely something to look at if you're wanting a premium corn herbicide program. It can be 1 pass, 2 pass, depending on how you want to split it up, but it's definitely one of the best.
This season on our farm, I talked a lot about logistics with adding the sprayer. Acheron GT is Acheron, but reformulated to be more of a post-emergence product. They cut the atrazine out of the mix. They add the glyphosate to help kind of pick up some more of those emerged grasses. And it definitely is a staple of a good 2-pass program. That is if you wanted to run like a Lexar up front or any kind of dual atrazine product. It is a very viable solution if you don't want to go with just the powerful Acheron up front. Again, like the Acheron itself, the Acheron GT, other than being logistically designed for post-emergence application, has phenomenal crop safety. It's something that you don't really think about when you're looking at some of the competitors' herbicides, but Acheron and Acheron GT have exactly what you need to burn down growing weeds, get that residual down there to last you long into the growing season without hurting your corn. Do a quick dive and look at some of the other post-emergence and pre-emergence options in the corn market. You'll quickly see that just because the competitors claim something with their program, their crop safety is usually not there, and a lot of times they do not have the weed control that some of the Syngenta products have. Definitely check out Acheron and Acheron GT, and they've got something new just around the corner right here that I want to show you. Syngenta knew that they had some growers looking for a different mixture of chemistries in their pre-emerged corn lineup, so they came out with the product Storin.
Storin is very similar to the Acheron products. It has the patented bicyclopyrone, mesotrione, Dole, and then they added the group 15 pyroxasulfone molecule, a phenomenal product that we've seen great success in our soybean fields for long-lasting control of small-seeded broadleafs. I'm actually extremely excited about this product as a stable mate to Acheron. You can see Storin's performance compared to some of the competitors in the market. You've got Resicor and Trivolt. Those other products are tapping out 2 to 3 weeks in advance of Storin. Of course, this is probably looking at a 1-pass system. You're getting some very powerful residual control, but I do think that you really want to make this a part of a 2-pass system because that is the agronomically sound thing to do. Really excited about this product because I think it will offer farmers another residual chemistry in the mix that is extremely effective, especially for water hemp. In a way, Storin can be thought of as the next step beyond Acheron for control. Without the atrazine, it gives you a little more flexibility on a restricted acre. And it also has a safened molecule in there to help protect your growing corn from those group 15s. When you put Dole and pyroxasulfone in the tank together and apply them to growing corn plants, sometimes you see crop response. Many of the competitors are not offering safeners for their products. And without that, in the right conditions, especially in coarse or sandy soils, you may actually have some fairly major damage. So Syngenta's thought of everything on this one.
you guys are in the market for arguably the most well-rounded, robust residual corn herbicide. If Acuron's not enough for you, definitely check out Storm this next season. I know a lot about the corn herbicides, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not super well versed in Syngena's soybean portfolio. So I have Jonathan here, an expert on their soybean line, to tell you a little bit about their new product, Tindovo.
So Tindovo was a product that we just got registered in 2022. 2023 was its first full launch year. And what it is it's a pre-residual, so pre-emerge residual product from Syngenta, offering 3 unique active ingredients, so 3 sites of action. It's got S-metolachlor in it, metribuzin, and chlorantzolam. And what that does is it picks up 70 plus weeds controlled on the label from your small-seeded suspects like Palmer amaranth, water hemp, to even the large-seeded broadleaves like giant ragweed and cocklebur and morning glories. And we're getting, with that robust rate of dual S-metolachlor in it, along with the metribuzin, up to about 5 weeks of residual. Doing it in a really safe way, which is what we have demonstrated here, versus some of the key competitors that could hold the crop back, especially as we plant earlier. We're pushing those yields, and the soils can be cooler and wetter and promote some safety issues with some other products.
Jonathan, if you had someone who came in today and maybe was using one of the competitors' products, is the crop safety the main thing you think that Tindovo offers? Are we seeing better residual out of it? I mean, we've got a lot of troublesome weeds on our farm. Water hemp in particular, we've not met Palmer amaranth, thank the Lord. But, I mean, is that really what you think is kind of to be gained?
I do. I think that's one of the main benefits, because these products, the competitive products that we benchmark ourselves again, wouldn't be on the market if they didn't control weeds to some level that's acceptable. And what we're seeing is that Tindovo, we're really pleased with the crop safety feature, because it's like you and I, if we get sick, we're not going to optimize ourselves, and our plants are the same way. They're not going to optimize their yield potential if they're held back. You can't get to canopy as quick as possible to control the late season weeds that come on. So.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
As someone who is particularly invested in our herbicides on our soybean side of things, he had me at allowing or accentuating earlier planting on our soybeans and improving crop safety. I can actually second what he said about some of the competitive products causing some issues to the growing soybeans. Not going to say which product in particular did it, but we were planting early using that product as a burn down and a residual, and it was obvious to the line where that product was hurting our soybeans. And I think that it goes without saying, I've mentioned it numerous times already, that crop safety is one of the unmentioned aspects of your herbicide program that needs to be focused on more. If you're letting your crops get injured, you are losing yield potential. Soybeans are especially sensitive to herbicides. It is important to have something out there powerful enough to control weeds like water hemp, giant ragweed, mare's tail, and these different weeds that are out there growing, but at the same time not slowing your soybeans down, because we want to make sure that we're maximizing top-end yield, but also keeping weed pressure at bay. They've got a neat little display with farmer-submitted pictures here of the performance of Tindovo on their farms. You can see a lot of really healthy-looking, clean soybean fields. That's exactly what you want to see in the early season. Water hemp in particular is the weed I always bring up. The least amount of water hemp you allow up, the easier it's going to be to control. We've looked at maybe growing some non-GMO beans, and we may be switching away from the competitors' products to something like this to accentuate early season growth and hold back pesky weeds for as long as we can in the season. I'm out of order here because I've talked about post-emergence protection, talked about herbicides, without even mentioning one of the key pieces to the high-yielding soybean puzzle, and that is a quality seed treatment. Syngenta just happens to offer some of the best products in the market. You have your broad spectrum control with Cruiser Max, APX, combined with SDS protection from Saltro. Obviously they do two different things, but together they're a very powerful combination to help keep your seedlings and late season plants at the top health possible. One wouldn't think that seed treatments have much to do with weed control. However, Syngenta does highlight here in their brochure that Cruiser Max APX treated soybeans reach canopy faster than their competition. Again, just one more piece of the crop protection puzzle that all fits together to result in the highest yields and net returns possible.
Obviously, weeds are a much more visibly evident issue in fields from the get-go. However, one thing you're not considering is seed-borne and soil-borne diseases that are actively starting your plants in last place in the race to the finish line. Vegetative growth is important and key, and we want to keep those things moving along as quickly as possible. Diseases like Pythium, Phytophthora, Rhizoctonia, and Fusarium all actively work to downgrade the quality of your seedlings as effectively as they can, and a product like Cruiser Max APX is here to help protect that investment and make sure that you reach canopy as quick as possible and reach harvest with the highest yields. On average, Syngenta sees that Cruiser Max APX is 3 to 5 bushels better than the competitive treatments. Those are pretty big bushels, especially in a soybean field. Given today's prices, you're looking at anywhere from $35 to $50+ an acre in your pocket by choosing a premium seed treatment like Cruiser Max APX. Of course, we talked about the staple of the seed treatment program, Cruiser Max. I also want to highlight Saltro. Saltro is more of an additive treatment for your additional protection from SDS, a disease that is an early season infiltration that doesn't really show symptomology until late in the season, kind of where we are right now. Some of you may be familiar with our farm last season. I talked about how I thought we left a lot of yield on the table in one field in particular. There was no SDS preventative seed treatment on those beans because we didn't want to spend the money. In hindsight, if we lost 10 to 15 bushels an acre because of an early infestation of SDS, we could have paid for years of seed treatment on this one 220 acre field alone. It was a missight on our part, and now we treat every acre with something to prevent SDS.
I'm sure many of you are fairly familiar with the competitor in the market. I'm not going to say their name, but I am going to point at it. One thing that Saltro offers is a lack or a reduction in seedling visible response or symptomology from the presence of this treatment on the seed. The competitor's product is known for causing this halo effect on leaves. Saltro rarely shows any kind of leaf symptomology, and it looks to me like the leaves are not the only thing that are slowed down. We actually even see poorer root development because of this.
The data is fairly clear. Saltro is about 4 bushels an acre better on average than their competitors. On top of that, those of you who are directly involved with the treating process, the flowability and treatability in general of Saltro is light years ahead of any competitive product. It is much easier to handle, and I've heard from numerous different people that treat their own seed from their dealership or at a retailer that Saltro is hands down the easier product to work with. I know that seems like a silly point to mention, but it goes without saying that the less stress you can add to your springtime, the better. It also doesn't hurt that the product overall is just better in general. So definitely give Cruiser Max APX a shot on your beans this year to see if you can get some of those early season diseases that we deal with regularly under control. And of course, add that Saltro Premium SDS seed treatment to make sure that you don't have any late robbing yield effect from SDS. Keep that money in your pocket. Don't give it to the diseases. I continue to talk about plant health and disease control, so I definitely need to highlight Syngenta's robust portfolio of corn and soybean fungicides.
For the last handful of years on our farm, it's pretty much been a no-brainer every season for us to apply a Syngenta fungicide. We've been making use of either TrivaPro or Miravis Neo on our corn. We've recently switched to more Miravis Neo for added tar spot control, using Miravis Top, which is specifically formulated for soybeans. It has better frog eye leaf spot control. And I guess I said just corn and soybeans, but we do have Miravis Ace here, which is a wheat-specific product.
The active ingredients in a lot of those is somewhat similar, but they're individually manipulated for the crop they're targeted on because some active ingredients perform better in different crops because of the type of diseases you're trying to fight off. Soybeans deal with a different set of fungal pathogens than corn does on average. However, there is a lot of similarities in how you need to combat those.
Syngenta has a little bit of a display here about the return on investment on fungicides. Here we have a corn plant. This is talking about the difference between a dry and a wet year. People say if it's dry, you don't need corn fungicides like we've seen this season. On average, versus the untreated, Syngenta is seeing 14.2 bushels an acre on a dry year versus 17.2 bushel an acre on a wet year versus untreated. However, both of these way beyond pay for the application in the product. It's a no-brainer. Here we have the soybean card. They're seeing on average in dry conditions 6.8 bushels an acre advantage over the untreated and the dry conditions. And then in wet conditions, 7.8 difference in treated versus untreated. Either way, much like the corn, this is enough bushels to have at least 100% return on investment, if not 200%. It is, in my mind, one of the easiest decisions you can pencil in every year. Apply fungicides to your corn and soybeans. For reference, I will show wheat, but I'm not a big wheat guy. They're showing an 8.2 bushel an acre average yield increase in dry conditions and 10.25 bushel an acre average yield in wet conditions. So wheat guys, you definitely look at Mirvis Ace.
On top of just simply having more bushels at the end of the season, whether that be through an increase in kernel count or increase in test weight, there are other things that are tangible about applying a fungicide, specifically when it comes to harvesting and late season standability.
Syngenta has the cleaner and greener crash course here, highlighting the harvestability difference between crops that have had fungicides applied versus not. You can see that if your crop is minimally lodged, you're going to get more bushels an hour or acres an hour. And if you have a lot of lodging from poor stock quality, specifically in corn, it's going to slow you way down. And that lack of efficiency really adds up quickly, especially with the price of a combine today.
One thing about new products and chemistries out on the market offered by phenomenal companies like Syngenta to help improve the bottom line on our farm really gets me excited. I spend a lot of time there, so I'm going to walk around and look at some of the other cooler offerings from companies.
I've been really kicking around the idea of maybe trying to pencil out a 32% side dress bar on our farm. This Unverfirth Nutramax looks like a fairly well-built rig. Not a ton of them in our area though, so I'm not super familiar with them. Looks like this one's a 23 knife. Definitely heavy built, and it's on the equalizer tracks, which is something that I think goes unappreciated on side dressing, is the amount of weight that most tired side dress bars are putting down when they have a 24 to 2,600 gallon tank full of very, very heavy or dense 32% nitrogen, is the compaction down at the roots, and we see that with the tired side dress bars. And I think we could probably pencil out between input savings from self-application and just custom fees adding a bar like this to our farm. We've got the tractors to pull it. I highlighted the J&M cart with stabilizer tracks, but the Brent or Unverfirth equalizer tracks are ridiculously overbuilt. You want to talk about weight dispersion, low PSI on the ground, that is awesome.
The only opinion I do have on the J&M system versus the Brent or Unverfirth system is that supposedly the J&Ms are less maintenance. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's definitely something to consider.
Wow, there you have it right there. I think my 8R370 would pull that. 2,600 bushel grain cart. That's a monster. And they entered the black color scheme marketplace. Looks pretty good. Hey, I recognize that combine. As a matter of fact, we were just cutting wheat with that in Palestine a month and a half ago. They did a darn good job cleaning that up. There's the classic Big Brute you guys have all come to know and love, courtesy of Welker Farms. That's what they use on their own acres. And then right next to it is the new Big Bud 700. A lot of power, it's simple to repair. That's the sales pitch. I definitely want to see that thing in action.
Hopefully simple to repair is synonymous with cheaper than deer fence and cases, because they're priced pretty ridiculously. I can only imagine where that one comes out.
There's old Brian's tractor. Those are some massive tires.
I've got the new Lexion picked out. All I need to go with it is a nice new fuel trailer.
There's what I need right there. Although I think this one may belong to someone else that some of you may know. Even if we didn't get a new combine, I've been trying to get a finance committee approval of a fuel trailer for the last few years, especially the way that 780 and 9620R suck down fuel. I stopped by the Protect Systems booth because our friends at Farm Rescue also had their 8R410 over here, but it looks like they've already taken off. So definitely want to give a reminder to you all to check out farmrescue.org. They are a very valued organization in the farming community to help provide assistance to farmers who are down on their luck, whether from health issues, natural disasters, a variety of different negative things can lead to someone needing a helping hand. And Farm Rescue is there, no strings attached, to get back on their feet, or maybe even help transition to the next generation peacefully and finish out their last crop. So again, if you know of anyone who needs any kind of support farming wise, turn them into Farm Rescue. They won't just show up. They'll get a hold of them, do their due diligence, and make sure that this case is approved on both sides, and they'll go to work to help that farmer.
It's almost overwhelming walking around a farm show of this size. There's just so many pieces of equipment and technology you want to implement on your own farm. I know that my want and wish list was already tremendously long, but every additional step I take, it gets longer and longer. So Finance committee is going to have a lot of projects to sort through in the future.
Oh man, this reminds me that we need to get our augers out of storage soon. And I don't know that that is going to be super enjoyable. That is on the to-do list. If not at the end of this week, next week, because harvest is right around the corner.
Can anyone fill me in on what this thing is? Is some kind of lunar lander?
I don't know that I've ever met someone as easy to locate in a crowd as Ron from Hartung Family Farms. Even in the red sulfured area, he sticks out like a sore thumb.
There he is conversating right there. I'm surprised he's not spying on New Holland or something.
I feel like I haven't even stopped by the most noteworthy booth here. And you know, a farm of our color, we're always going to find the way home to John Deere.
Here's one of the hottest ticket items on the interwebs right now, the John Deere See & Spray Ultimate System. It is a standard John Deere sprayer with a dual solution tank and cameras on the booms to actively turn on the spot spray system when it detects weeds in row crops. Phenomenal innovation, and I know there's some competitors on the market offering something similar, I'm sure at a more competitive price, but the point still stands that technology like this, especially with John Deere's innovation and financing behind it. One thing I'll definitely highlight about this sprayer that's concerning, other than I'm sure the scary price tag, is that there is a lot more going on than a regular sprayer. You've got the twin solution tank, so you've got two sets of everything. You have two wet booms. You have all of the camera systems, the computers, the processors, because it's processing so much data, more nozzle bodies, just a lot more going on to help be more efficient farming. I think that this is going to apply more to customers who are able to cover much more acres. So a small farmer obviously is not going to get much use of this. Large farmers could stand to save a lot in chemical, and of course retailers, because they're covering a lot of custom acres. So definitely something to keep an eye on, not only from John Deere, but also from their competition as they kind of dive into that market. As a newfound Hagie aficionado, I'm very interested in the new model year Hagies. Since 22 and on, they've got the completely redesigned, fully integrated Deere Ultimate cab, similar to what you'd see on an 8R tractor, an X9 combine, or a new 9R tractor. The one complaint I've heard about the redesign is that they've removed the platform going back, and then they've placed the ladder behind the front tire. Two issues with that. One, you have to walk farther to get to the back of the sprayer, and they're removing their backfill, because the backfill is normally on that ladder. So definitely some complaints from the customers I've heard. Other than that though, if they hadn't made those two changes, they say that these new machines are worth every penny, or at least worth the upgrade. They're kind of expensive. Here you have the big horse in the stable, top of the line, John Deere 9RX 640 quad track. Nice tractor. There's been a few used one of these floating around our local dealership. They look nice. They've got the ultimate cab like I mentioned, so operator comfort is probably as good as it gets. Price tag is also top of the line.
Oh wow, I wasn't even gonna climb up here, and then I noticed this tractor has the new generation John Deere displays. The Gen 4s, like we have in all of our equipment, are soon to be outdated compared to the new models, because they're gonna have this newly redesigned system. I don't have any familiarity with it. I've never even seen it boot up, but surely John Deere wouldn't take a product to market unless it was top of the line. The cab is almost identical to our 8R tractors, other than those new screens. I bet this thing would be fun to put some hours in it. I still think that equipment manufacturers like John Deere are specifically to blame for all these older farmers never retiring and passing on the torch. They've made equipment so luxurious, comfortable, and easy to operate that there's no reason for these old people to ever retire. A lot of people were disappointed that all they had here was a 9RX 640, because allegedly John Deere is going to be releasing a higher horsepower competitor to Case's new four-wheel drive tractor they just released at the Farm Progress Show here, 750 horsepower. Allegedly they're going to be knocking on about the same horsepower range, so pretty exciting. Like I said when we were at the Landall booth, more power seems to be the future. Eventually I think we'll get to the point where we go to numerous small tractors, just not today.
It would be a crime if I didn't at least acknowledge the X9 and the hinged flexing draper. That thing is sharp. The old S790 on tracks almost seems underwhelming compared to that big X9 combine. Heck, they wash their combines every day here at the Farm Progress Show. I didn't even wash our combines after last fall, an entire harvest season. They're making me look bad. It seems like no matter where I go, I'm always drawn back to the Fendt equipment. I don't know if it's the colors or the designs or their growing popularity in the market, but I really think that anything in the Fendt line, maybe other than their combine, is the thing to be trying nowadays. Heard a lot of really good things about these Fendt high clearance sprayers or adjustable sprayers. Obviously it's just a redesigned Rogator. At the same time though, people are starting to use them and they love them.
I really cannot express enough how much I want to demo one of these tractors. So Fendt, if by chance you're watching this video, please just drop one off. I'll even clean it when I'm done. I just need like 5 or 6 hours with it, maybe 2,000 acres worth of tillage, only a tiny little generosity, so I can see if maybe this is a direction we consider moving on our own farm.
Right next door, you got the versatile equipment, tried and true. They really are the ones who started the simple, easy to fix and high power machine market. Big Bud is just trying to capitalize that a little further. We've got a neighbor with the 620 quad. They seem to like it and have plenty of uptime. Another viable option in the market. It's never bad to have competition.
I think everyone here can be grateful that this show was this specific day of this week, or this few days of this week, because if it would have been last week when we were knocking on triple digits, it would have been miserable out here. Attendance would have been poor. Next week we're looking on not quite triple digits, but mid to upper 90s, so also terrible weather. Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good though, right? I'm not sure that this is kosher, but Welker Farms fired up a big root here at the Farm Progress lot, so things are getting a little ornery here.
We've got Farmhand Mike here, Welkers, Farmer Dan, Laura Farms, Grant, whole Welker crew, Brian's farming videos, of course Ron from Part-Time Family Farms.
Hey, did you get the blue lights?
I'm surprised that the security haven't shown up yet.
Yeah, here comes the cops.
Hey, you changed the door latch, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had to
That looks different. Okay, that was pretty neat. We got the after hours edition of the Farm Progress Show. Once the crowds were gone, there's no one left here in the parking lot. Got to interact with some of the other YouTubers. Really nice to meet some of these people. They're great. Obviously, through the lens of the camera and the YouTube video where you're watching this right now, you get a highly edited version of what actually happens. I'll just say that all of these guys you're watching out on YouTube, whether it be Farmhand Mike, Welkers, Brian's farming video, Laura Farms, Ron from Part-Time Family Farms, they're all great people, love to have a good time, and they're just good old Americans like you and I. So appreciate getting to meet some of those people. Had a great time at the farm show. Everyone, make sure you check out Syngenta and their line of crop protectants. I cannot speak highly enough about them. They're great on our farm, and I think you will see a very positive return on investment on your farm. Anyways, it's getting late. I'm taking off. I feel bad for leaving my family at home by themselves for so long. As always, I greatly appreciate every single one of you continuing to tune in and support the channel. Your viewership means the world to me. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Until then, make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!